Hey guys, welcome back to Our Untoxic Podcast. I'm Hannah and I am having one hell of a morning. Technology does not seem to be in my favor today, which is odd because I say thank you to every inanimate object. I say thank you to ChatGPT. I'm like the most technology friendly person there is. I am sometimes even in favor of robots taking over because I don't think that humans are doing an adequate job. But this morning, I really don't even have that stressful of a day. It's just things are not working in my favor. First, we had this little car mount that I'm trying to use to record myself because I am having a quarter life crisis and decided that I wanted to have a YouTube channel. More on that later. The car mount kit has like 3 or 4 different apparatuses that you can use to fix your phone to the dashboard of your car. The suction cup stopped working for no reason. I didn't even think that was possible. I thought they were like an indefinite source of stick. They're not. And there's another one where you can fix it to the vent of your car, which not only renders the vent of your car somewhat useless, but then you're like filming the back of the steering wheel or your knuckles. And neither of those really fit the vision that I had in mind. Then I came here, my SD card wasn't working on the camera. It turns out that little teeny tiny notch on the side of the SD card does something. Didn't know. It wasn't until I was like resorting to just fidgeting with things that I figured out that was the problem. But it wouldn't let me delete all the footage that I had previously on the camera to make room for this new video. The mics weren't. Anyways, this is getting very boring for you. But the point is, technology is not working in my favor. And it's one of those things that whenever a few little things start to add up, then all of a sudden people are like slamming on their brakes in front of you. Your phone is falling in between your seat and your console. You can't reach it. And you're hot. It just, they're all such insignificant, inconsequential things, but it is frustrating whenever I'm like, oh, it's going to be such a good day. I have all these things ahead of me. What a nice time. Next thing I know, like I'm pouring coffee into my cup because I decided to make it from home today. It's spilling all over the counter. So it's just one of those things. But it's fine. We're still going to have a good day. I'm not going to be thwarted by the universe and all of my invisible adversaries. So where should I begin? Let's talk about my coffee. Actually, to talk about that, I have to give you some backstory. So yesterday, I had my first appointment with a fertility specialist, which is kind of bumming me out because I don't want to have to be seeing a fertility specialist at all, but that's just what we're dealing with. And I already told you guys we're not being sad, we're not being depressed, we're not being bitter as much as we can help it. So I had my appointment yesterday. It was very lengthy, and I do think that they're going to be very thorough, very just effective. I am very optimistic about it. However, it's never fun to go to a doctor's appointment and sit there and get poked and prodded and invaded and have blood drawn and everything else. So those aren't the most fun things, but that's okay. That's just part of it. But in talking to the specialist, then she was advising that I cut back on inflammatory foods in my diet, which would be sugar, gluten, and dairy, AKA my favorite things. And she said, you don't have to cut them out. There's no reason to have, another complex, but if you can cut back on them, that would be great. Fortunately, I don't eat a ton of anything but sugar in my diet of those things. The only dairy that I really have would be like cottage cheese because I love eating that for protein. And I also have the occasional piece of sourdough toast with almond butter or peanut butter or whatever other butter I choose to have. Besides that, I don't really have a lot of gluten. Even my pasta is a veggie pasta because I'm always trying to find workarounds to getting protein that don't involve me actually eating meat because I don't like it. And I guess rice sometimes. So I don't know what the average diet looks like if it's very gluten heavy, but I don't know. Dairy, I usually drink oat milk anyways because I like the taste better. That's always good. Sometimes coffee creamers slip in there that I probably shouldn't be having anyways because of all the chemicals in them that I can't pronounce that I didn't used to care about, but now apparently I have to. And sugar is a problem. I will be honest. I have a lot of sugar in my diet, but I'm trying to clean it up anyways. And partially just because I haven't been feeling my best, like confidence wise. And I think that's because with obviously the roller coaster of a past month and a half, 2 months that I've been having, my hormones have been all over the place. I feel like I've gone from very consistent cardio, spin classes, gym workouts, to then being on this roller coaster of like paranoia and then fear that something's going to happen. And then something does happen. And then I'm afraid to mess it up and then something bad happens, and then your body's just all thrown out of whack. So I think that my gym routine has been inconsistent at best. I've also had a lot of variance in my diet as far as getting nutrition versus not. And anyways, I've been all over the place and it just left me feeling kind of bloated and blah. And my skin paid the price a little bit. So I'm trying to get back on track, not only for the sake of consistency and feeling better and being more confident, but for hopefully everything that my doctors and I are trying to work towards. So that being said, I'm drinking coffee from home today. Also, I'm recording a little bit later in the morning. It's like 9:45, so I'm not first thing. I had to have a coffee. I couldn't wait until I was coming to the studio. That would just be asinine. So I made myself a beverage. It's actually Chamberlain Coffee's cold brew, which is delish. And then I put some oat milk in it and then a tiny bit of like sweet creamer because I wanted a little tiny bit of sweet. And since I don't have to cut out gluten and sugar, I can have like a little bit of it. But anyways, I hate this, but we're going to be just fine. If you have any favorite gluten-free brands or recipes, let me know because I would love to experiment with them. Anyways, I what else was I going to talk about? I'm so sorry. I'm all over the place today. My brother and I are doing this challenge. You guys know Evan, and we've just been talking about how we want to have something to kind of focus our energy on that's not the problems in our lives. And it's always nice to be healthy, especially when we're coming right into the fall season. Then it's nice to have a little bit of structure. And, the holidays get so crazy. There's so many things happening all the time. I have some travel coming up. The consistency in the gym is really difficult whenever it's cold and you just want to be cozy. And obviously, I love a good holiday treat. So I think that this is going to serve as like my last push to be disciplined and super healthy and then let off the gas a little bit going into the holidays. And I never like to do that 100%. Like, you should always have some kind of routine and consistency just because it's good for your mental health. And I love the gym, but admittedly, I do fall off a little bit the closer we get to Christmas. So let me tell you about the challenge. We kind of drew it up. We talked about 75 hard, but I think that that's difficult. One, because I don't want to do every single day, and I don't want to say I'm doing 75 hard if I plan on taking breaks. So with Halloween, with my anniversary, with my birthday, with a couple trips coming up, I'm not going to just not enjoy them, but I can enjoy them in moderation. So what I'm planning on doing is this little challenge that we made up that we haven't named. We have a shared note just called challenge. And if anyone wants to participate in creating their own challenge, feel free to jump in. We're starting this on Monday just because we're weird and we like to have a set date, as I think everybody does, but we like to have a certain time where we can measure things. But we're going to keep rolling it week after week and adjusting as we need to. But it's not so much for it's not for results necessarily as it is for the discipline aspect and having some structure and just having something to kind of pour our energy into besides angst. So let me tell you about it. For me, my priorities I cited were mental clarity, strength training, clean eating, clean in parentheses, and better rest/recovery. So my gym goals, I want to grow my glutes because I feel like I just let off the gas with those entirely. And I was looking in the mirror and I watching this video I filmed of myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened to my butt? It feels like it's gone. And it probably isn't. I'm just being over dramatic, but I want to grow that thing for the winter. Got to keep me warm at night. I want to increase my mobility. If you follow me on Instagram, you're like, girl, we know you post about that every single day. But it's just fun to challenge yourself and do these different things where you can see what your body's capable of outside of the normal realm of just your fitness splits. So I've been trying to do a few more things, just like test and see what I'm capable of. And now that I'm into it, I have all these other goals that I want to try and I can't stop. So I will continue to work on that. I also want to have a stronger core. And that's another thing that I feel like has fallen by the wayside. Last year, whenever I was running, I was doing a ton of core training just because it's good for your breath work, it's good for your balance, and so on. I really feel like I fell off of that this year just because my workout, I've been consistent with working out in general, but I've not been consistent with the types of working out that I've been doing. So I've been training a lot of different things for a long time, but I haven't been training one thing for long enough to really see significant results. So that's kind of where I'm aiming with this is to kind of bulk up in the core area and have good stability, which also lends itself to mobility, whatever, you get the point. Moving forward. Food goals, get more protein. I've been saying that for weeks. It's nothing new. Actually hit it is my goal every day. I need to limit gluten, sugar, and dairy, which is amazing. I'm so happy about that. And avoid processed foods as much as possible. Not avoid them entirely, not avoid them to an extent that makes me have a complex and fixate and be obsessive because we're not trying to replace one unhealthy habit with another. And don't be confused, being so hyper fixated and obsessed with health and clean eating, quotes, and detoxifying your life in whatever way can also become toxic and unhealthy if you let it rule so much of your time and your energy and obsess over it to a point that's draining you. So I'm not going to do that, but I'm going to avoid them where possible. So if I have an option to choose between a few things, I'm going to opt for the non-processed or less processed option. With this will come more research because obviously I don't know what I'm talking about. Next, my mental goals. I want to do meditation daily, like actual quiet time, focus. I'm going to start with 5 minutes, hopefully get to 10, hopefully get up to 20, maybe not 20. I don't know if I want to do that, but I definitely want to be able to sit and focus on my breath and clearing my mind and just centering myself for more than 30 seconds without getting distracted and falling off the wagon. So that's one of my goals. I've never actually committed to meditation as a goal because I don't think that it fits me. I don't like to meditate. Even whenever I'm doing my prayer time, I have to journal because I get so distracted if I'm not actively writing something down. So that's a very important goal for me, is to be able to just quiet my mind. And I think that it will be better for me in the long run if I can somehow figure out how to do that. Additionally, I want to focus back on my journal and prayer time. I was really good for a while, and then I definitely fell off the wagon with that. And it's just an emotional thing, whenever you go through a challenge and you don't really want to focus on things that you feel like should have helped you but didn't help you. Also, sometimes whenever you're just avoiding your feelings altogether, you don't want to write them down or talk about them. So I think that's something that's very necessary for me in my healing process and just overall mental health. So I'm going to be getting back into journaling and prayer time. And finally, I want to work on one creative project or read daily, things that have nothing to do with work, things that don't make me any money, things that are purely just to exercise the creative side of my brain. And this could be YouTube videos. This could be ideas for the podcast, which those things are arguable. I mean, like, hopefully they will make more money someday. They make a nominal amount right now. Nominal? Yes, that's the right word. They don't do a ton for moving the needle right now, but maybe one day. But they still feel like creative outlets. So it doesn't feel like work to me. But writing, reading anything fictional, drawing, crocheting, just anything creative that I feel like is not being done just for the sake of producing something, that's very important to me. Those are mine. I'm not going to read Evan's because those are his personal goals. And if you want me to have him back on, we can chat about them. In our daily rules, we said that across the board, we're doing a daily devotion, read 10 pages of a book, not necessarily nonfiction because that's boring, hit our protein goals, get 10,000 steps, and be in bed by a certain time every day. For me, I need like an asterisk that says in bed with your phone away at a certain time because I'll be in bed at a decent time most nights, but then I'll either be on my phone until 2 a.m. or I'll read until 2 a.m. And neither of those things really bode well for my overall health. So I'm going to say in bed and preparing to sleep actually by a certain time. What that time is, I haven't decided yet because I don't want to be too unrealistic here. Of everything that I've listed, this is probably going to be the hardest for me. Follow and track workouts, and then quality family time once weekly. And I see my family, I think, more than most, but making sure that there's actually quality time and not just me popping in because I need to borrow sugar from my mom and I forgot to go to the store. Actual quality time. I think it's going to be great. That's our challenge. So I don't know why I'm in this somewhat manic state of just needing some structure, needing something to cling on to, but that's what we're doing. So, emotional check-in, I'm feeling fine. And that's all I want to say on the matter. I really do feel fine. I feel okay. I feel like I'm just throwing myself into so many different things, i.e. the YouTube channel, i.e. bringing on new clients for the first time in 6 months because I just didn't want to add anything new to my business because it was in a small corner of my life and now suddenly growing again. And this challenge, just everything, I feel like I'm kind of spreading myself out into all these different avenues that I do have passion or have previously had passion for because I don't want to waste any time being a bummer. Who wants to do that? So emotional check-in, doing awesome. Also, fertility treatments are expensive, and I would just like to say that. And I just started. But I would rather spend money on a quality professional and practice that hears you and listens to you and really educates you on what they're doing and leaves no stone unturned as far as your health is concerned. And I would rather pay for that than just, save a few dollars, but be grouped in with this mass amount of women that are also seeking help and no one's really being listened to and no one's being investigated and tested and everything else. So I am very excited and happy to be with the practice that I'm at. And you'll find out more about that next week. So definitely stay tuned for that. Even if you don't like to listen to me yap, next week's episode will be fantastic. Okay. I have 2 fun events coming up. Tomorrow, there's an event with Springfield Business Journal, SBJ Connect. If you've seen me post about it, this is why they reached out to me and asked me if I would be willing to partner up with them and do a couple shout outs online in exchange for a couple tickets. And I said yes. Unfortunately, now my husband does not want to go because he doesn't like to sit still for long periods of time and he doesn't like business events. So I'm going to have to recruit somebody else to go with me, which should still be fun. And I like those events. I don't think I can do the entire day just because I have work to do. So I don't think I can give up the entire day, but I would love to go. And the St. Louis Cardinals general manager is going to be speaking. There's a couple different CEOs from the area. When this episode comes out, if you're listening to it on the day that it comes out, it will be today. So I could be at that very event as you're listening to this, but maybe not. It will be a fun event. Also next, I got a really cool opportunity from Thunder Ridge Nature Arena. Very exciting. They reached out to me and asked if I wanted to do a collaboration with them in exchange for Pitbull tickets. And I first died laughing because that's so perfect. Second, said, obviously, I want to do that. So we did a conference call. We talked about like the deliverables and the rules and everything. So they're supposed to be sending me a little package to do an unboxing for coming up. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk about this, if it's like secretive, but I'm guessing that Thunder Ridge won't be listening to this. If you are listening, Thunder Ridge, I love you. I'm such a huge fan. But they're going to be sending me some stuff to unbox, to post on Instagram, to hopefully drum up love for Pitbull, which is just the funniest thing to me because why? What do I offer to Pitbull? Why am I able to drum up support for him and his concert? Either way, that will be a great time. Austin and I will be attending that, and we're just going to have a bitchin' good time. Next, I did start a YouTube channel. Please follow it. I'm posting not on a certain day because I don't need to add one more deadline into my week. But so far, it's just been like vlogs and check-ins, and that's been really fun just to have something to focus on like throughout the day. And almost it makes me look forward to it more because if I'm just going about my day, it's one thing, but it's almost giving me this aspect of romanticization, whatever, when it comes to making my life almost seem more cinematic or treating it as more cinematic because I get to go film these things that I'm doing versus just going about my day. So I'm having a really fun time with that. Follow it if you feel like, if you want more visuals as to what goes on in my week versus just me talking about it all the time. Next, my mom is hosting a garage sale and I'm putting 12 bags of clothes into it. So if you're listening to this the week that it comes out, September 18th, actually that's when I'm recording, September 19th, 2024, the garage sale will be tomorrow, September 20th, and Saturday, September 21st. So message me or message the podcast account if you want the address, and I will give it to you, and you can come shop all these clothes that I have purchased over the years. And it will be hard to part with them, but I hope they go to loving homes. All right, let's knock this report out. Hang on, let me sip my homemade coffee. Reading. Queen of Shadows. Yes, still. Okay, don't get on me. I've been reading not as often as I should, but it's good. The problem with books that switch perspectives a lot is that it's hard for me to get into because even if I go and read 50 pages, I'm only getting like 2 or 3 chapters with each character, and I feel like I'm not advancing the story that much, and I don't know. For some reason, I don't do well with that. I like to have one narrator and not have things split over long periods of separation. That's just me. I don't know if I'm an anomaly with that as far as readers are concerned. What am I eating? Healthier foods, apparently. What am I playing? Lots of fall-esque playlists, lots of old Tumblr music, lots of Arctic Monkeys, lots of Gracie Abrams. Maybe I'll put a little playlist out. We can all listen together. What am I obsessing over? Cobra Kai, still. I have my first celebrity crush that's younger than me, and I'm having a whole existential crisis over it. But I'm not ready to talk about that quite yet. Also, Apple Crisp Olipop. I finally tracked one down yesterday, and it was delish. But there's only 2 left, so I felt bad taking the last one, knowing how hard it is to find them, so I left it, and now I'm going to try and, I guess, track down a different one because I am a hunter and a gatherer at my core. Recommending. I went to a really cute coffee truck yesterday. It's called Sip and Savor. It's in Ozark, and they have the cutest fall decorations outside. My vibe was killed because the weather was like 90 degrees at 10 a.m. and humid, so that wasn't great. But I tried their cinnamon roll latte with pumpkin cold foam, and it was delicious. I got it iced, obviously, because it was like the seventh ring of hell outside. But I cannot wait to go back and try more of them. So if you think about it, or if you want to go out of your way, if you don't live in Ozark to try a new drink, I definitely recommend them. It's Sip and Savor, but it's Sip plus Savor if you're typing it into GPS. So I definitely recommend them. And treating myself to, I would say more alone time. And let me explain this because I don't know, again, if I'm the only person, probably not. Probably not. There's 8 billion people in the world. I'm probably not the only person that enjoys alone time. But when I get into certain moods, whether they're good or bad, I just prefer my own company. And of course, there are some exclusions like my husband, my mother, my longtime best friends. That's different, but I just really prefer my own company. And I want to do a whole episode on the importance of being your own best friend because I think that your relationship to yourself is so crucial and so important in your happiness. And you have to nurture it just like any other relationship. And for me, I nurture it with quality time and I love time by myself. So that's one thing that I feel like I've been treating myself more to is opting out of social obligations, opting out of filling my schedule like I used to, and really enjoying time by myself. And I went through a phase where all I wanted to do was be social. So I was inviting somebody no matter what I had to do. I'm like, oh, do you want to run errands with me? Do you want to go to the pool with me? Do you want to do this with me? And that's great. But I'm just in a phase now where I really just want to do those things by myself. So that's what I'm treating myself to, alone time, and I'm loving it. Okay, now that we've done 22 minutes of housekeeping stuff, let's talk about the episode topic. So I feel redundant with these bucket lists because I do in every season, but I love to consume them from other creators. So I will continue to make them in case you feel the same way. And there's just something about an episode that you can listen to and be somewhat mindless because I love to do episodes like next week that will have really heavily informational discussions and topics, and the guest is amazing and just something that you want to tune into and really focus on. But I also love to mix in episodes like this where it's more you can put in the background while you're driving to Target and you can listen to it as you're decorating for fall in your house or going to get a drink from a local coffee shop. You can do whatever and not really have to focus super hard because there's so much that's demanding of our time and our brains that we don't always need that. So I think it's important to just have things you can turn your little noggin off for because that's what I like to do with my little pea brain. So we're talking about, oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I did not put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Guys, that was so rude of me. Okay. Anyways, we're fine. Next. I already said my intro. Seriously, I'm so sorry. I'm so scattered today, but that's fine. This is just how it is. I'm not a professional. I'm just an individual with too many cameras on me right now. So if you want to join our fall challenge, like I said, the main thing for me was to just have something that I can focus on and not just like slowly tumble downhill into winter. I wanted to have like a strong push that's intentional. And usually I hate the word intentional because it's overused, but really focusing on structure in my days and not just drifting through them like I feel like I kind of had been. So putting effort into things that will put joy and fulfillment back into my life, even if they're a challenge, even if the discipline is a little bit of a struggle at times, then I know that this will be good for me on the long haul. So in addition to focusing on the health aspects, I also want to have a focus on these fun items. So my bucket list, because I don't want life to just feel like a grind and like get your protein, do your meditation, get to the gym, get your steps in. That's not very fun either. So I want it to be a balance of things that I look forward to as far as progressing my health mentally, physically, emotionally, blah, 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 and things that just make me happy. So for the bucket list, I've compiled a pretty simple list. It's not crazy, but I do just want to encourage you guys. Your seasons can't be special unless you choose to make them special. So I've had some amazing seasons as far as fall and Christmas because Christmas is its own season. Summertime, spring, you can make them amazing and you can look back on all your photos and be like, man, I really summered so hard. This year, I'm actually very proud of how hard I summered. I feel like I did everything on my bucket list. I did more. I took advantage of all the pool time that I could. I stayed out late. I got up early. I exercised outside. Everything that you could possibly do to just make the season yours. I feel like that's what I did. All my favorite stuff, I got it. It was great. And I wanted the same thing for fall and Christmas. And I've had those before, but sometimes I have other types of seasons where I just don't put any effort into it. And the next thing you know, it's January and I didn't even make a single frosted sugar cookie. And that's just devastating. So I'm not going to let that happen. I'm going to do all the fall and then holly jolly things that I can. And I think it's just something that I need to remind myself it's up to me. Like, you can make the season as maximalist as you want to, or you can just drift through it and be like, oh man, fall, it wasn't really that special. And I'm not going to do that. Okay. I'm not doing that. All the fall specials, all the fall activities, they're part of my life now. So this is my encouragement to you to maximize the season because you're the only person that can. Letting it sink in. Okay. Bucket list. We, being my friend group, we had this idea to paint tote bags in the summer. We didn't do it because we brought them to the lake for one weekend. We planned to do it. And then it turns out when we got to the lake, all we wanted to do was swim and chit chat. So we still have all the supplies. And now I'm thinking how fun it would be to do that as a fall activity where we could do some like apple cider, watch a spooky movie in the background, and maybe even do my tote bag in a fall theme. So I have something to carry around because I have some summer bags for the farmer's market and for the pool and everything else, but I don't really have a set spooky bag or like a fall theme. So I might switch my plan there and do that one. So first thing is paint tote bags. Next, very simple. I've mentioned it again like 1,800 times. Try all the fall specials that I can whenever possible. So whether it's like the Urban Grounds paninis, the food things that you can try, which I have tried several of their paninis and they are fantastic. So try their fall menu. Amazing. The food is delicious. But coffees, protein shakes, special fall candles, anything that you can try. I just try and shift my usuals for the seasonal things. So even the hand soap that I buy, I'm not going to go out and buy all new hand soap, but as I'm running out, I'm restocking it with like apple crisp soap and whatever else. So I think it's just fun to make the shift so that you have more definitive markers of what the season looks like. And the same thing is true with Christmas. Like, I'll do little shifts with the candles and the soaps and the things that I'm listening to because it just helps me like quantify what the season looks like and have a definitive shift from the summertime to the fall to Christmas and so on to the desolate wasteland that's January and February. But I'm not talking about that right now because I'm not trying to be sad. So all fall specials, indulge in them when you can. Decorate for fall. I did this earlier this week. Yeah, I did that within the past couple days. I've decorated for fall. I don't do a ton of extra decorations because I don't love clutter, but I did put out my little pumpkins here and there and swap out just a couple things. So I put some new throw pillows out. It's very cute. It's honestly not a ton, but it makes me feel nice. Next, make a fall scented candle. I did do that. It's not really a fall scented candle, but because I got it in fall, I'm going to burn it all fall. I think that the shift, it'll be like a conditioning thing that I've done to myself. So I went to Lumi Candle Bar. So much fun. I hadn't been to any kind of candle making business previously, and I'm honestly bummed about that. But I went with my dad. We made candles. I think the scents that we picked were, what was the first one? Maybe vanilla, orange, and strawberry cheesecake, which those don't sound especially fall-esque. But like I said, I'm going to burn it for this period of time. And then for Christmas, I'll go back and do something like cinnamon something. I don't know. It's not time yet. Let me get into that headspace. It'll be fun. But I have my fall candle, and I definitely encourage you guys to go because that was so much fun. And really, I had this odd anxiety that going to make candles would give me a really horrible headache and it would not be a fun experience. And I had a good time. So as long as you don't dilly-dally, I think that you should be great. Next, bake something pumpkin. Now, this one isn't in my wheelhouse, but every year I have this overwhelming desire to bake something maple or pumpkin or something cute, and I can't get it out of my head, my little one-track mind, until I do it. So I'll probably just hunt down some pumpkin muffin mix, gluten-free apparently, and make myself some pumpkin muffins so I can get this out of my brain. Next, go to a bonfire. I would say host a bonfire, but I don't know how to keep a fire going. So what I'm going to do is convince someone around me to host a bonfire and then attend that bonfire. Okay, also go to a corn maze, but not walk through it. I like the atmosphere of a corn maze. It feels like the fall special episode of like a TV show. And as we know, I'm always pretending that's my life. So going to a corn maze, a spooky haunted house, really anything that just feels like a secondary location to where I usually am. However, I don't like to be scared. And I have this paranoia that with those exhibits, I will actually get attacked and no one will know because everyone will think it's like part of the bit. So I don't know when I got this weird paranoia, but I'm like, they're walking around with chainsaws. There's different parts of the maze where they have like machine gun sounds or strobe lights, you get disoriented. So if I were an actual psychopath, I would just sneak into that and then actually hurt people and no one would know until it's way later. Everyone would be like, oh my gosh, like that's so realistic. That's so crazy. That's terrifying. So I don't like to do those. And they are not fun for me anymore. I used to eat them up, not anymore. But I will attend like the atmosphere, the premises. I'm just not walking through the haunted part. And that's okay. Because boundaries are important. Next, watch Beetlejuice 1 and 2. Haven't seen 1. Austin keeps saying I have to watch it. I will watch it, I guess. And the second one's supposed to come out. I just don't, for some reason, I have a feeling I'm not going to like it. And I am probably sabotaging myself by saying that. Everyone's like, it's such a classic. It's so good. I don't know. We'll see. TBD. I do want to rewatch Pretty Little Liars, Wednesday, and WandaVision. Those are like my spooky shows. And I could write a whole dissertation on the shows that I rewatch during different times of the year. But those are my Halloween, like early fall, the spooky season rewatch. Because fall is kind of divided into 2 parts. You have the first half of fall, which is spooky season, which is pre-Halloween. Ghosts, haunted things, full moons, which was last night, all kinds of stuff. And then you have the second half, which is more Thanksgiving, wholesome, easing into Christmas, things like that. Not really spooky season, but it's all fall. So for the first half, I will do all my spooky shows. Like I said, Pretty Little Liars, Wednesday, and WandaVision. And of course, with shows like Pretty Little Liars that have multiple seasons, I will skip all the ones that don't feel spooky. I'm not really watching for plot. I'm watching for vibe. Then, as we transition to later fall, that's when we rewatch Gilmore Girls, Gossip Girl. That's really it. Maybe Vampire Diaries. It just depends where I'm feeling. And I guess for spooky season, you could do the originals. I love the originals. Whatever shows float your boat, this is the time to rewatch them, even just in the background. Next, recreate photos from my fall Pinterest board. I did some of this summer and it's really fun. Like, consider it like a photo scavenger hunt or a photo challenge and make your fall Pinterest board if you don't already have one. I have one that's been in progress for several years now. And sometimes it's just fun if you don't know what you're going to do with your day, but you want to do something fun. Get your fall Pinterest board and then make it a mission to recreate like 3 photos. And if that's as simple as going to get a coffee with some cute latte art, going to find a park bench that has a bunch of leaves on it and taking a cute photo, cool. Because it just gets you out of the house. You're doing something, you get a cute picture out of it. I think that we shouldn't trivialize things just because it's like, oh, it's just for social media. It could be really fun and fulfilling. Maybe not fulfilling. I won't go that far. But it is a fun, like, creative challenge to see how you can put your own spin on these photos that have inspired you. Next, go for runs and walks where the leaves are pretty. I have so many favorite trails, and I'm really not I don't enjoy leaving my house and just going for a run from my house, partially because I live in a really hilly neighborhood and it's just not pleasant for a run. Austin, my husband, is the opposite. He is like, why would I go somewhere else just to run if I could leave the house, run, and come back and end at the house and not have to drive and be sweaty? He does make a compelling point. However, if I'm running in our hilly neighborhood, then I have to keep stopping for traffic and keep an eye out for cars. And then I have to run around the other joggers and the walkers and the dogs and everything else. And then there's traffic and people are looking and perceiving me. What if I'm not doing so hot? There's like a million reasons that I don't want to be in public when I'm running. Trails, great. There is, unfortunately, the slight fear that comes with being a female. That includes being assaulted and or kidnapped and or murdered. So lately I've been taking my dad with me on bike rides. So he will go to the same trail as I am and just ride his bike, and I'm running. So occasionally he'll like loop back around. We don't keep pace because I don't run that fast, but he will like loop back around and check and make sure that I'm still there and have not been abducted, which is nice. It does give me some peace of mind. But anywhere that you can find fall scenery, because it's very fleeting. And I think that I went to Columbia this past weekend with my mom and we drove back, obviously, and it was so beautiful, but it made me nervous because the leaves are already changing, that we're not going to have a very long fall. I don't know anything about the weather, but if it's already starting and it's hot outside, I'm nervous that I won't be able to fully enjoy it because it's too hot for me to want to do anything. And by the time it's actually cooled down, what if the leaves are dead? That would be a travesty. Next, go to a pumpkin patch. This can be the same as your spooky bonfire, haunted house, corn maze situation, or it could be a daytime activity. So just go get a little coffee, walk through one. And I have a hard time with this time of year. Again, such first world problems. But I always want to do the fall festivals. I want to go to the pumpkin patch. I get so excited, especially right now, like mid to late September. I really just want to sink my teeth into all things pumpkin. But when it's so hot outside, like today's supposed to be 92 degrees, it just makes me so grouchy. So then I also try and exercise patience and wait until it gets cooler, because if I go now, I will have a bad experience. It'll be too hot. I'll be grouchy. I won't want to do it. And then I will not make myself go the rest of the season. So I'm trying to wait. Patience, as they say, is a virtue. And work up my excitement and then go when the temperature hopefully reflects what I feel in my soul, which is cold. Anywho, take spooky Halloween photos and dress up for Halloween. I love Halloween. I know that I'm a grown up and maybe that's boring or lame, but if you know me at all, you should know I don't care about being lame. I love Halloween. I love to dress up. I'll spend my own hard-earned cash on a costume, probably before I'll spend cash on like a nice new outfit. I love to dress up. I love creative photos. I love photoshopping special powers on myself. I love fake blood. I love all of it. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I still have some leftover ideas from last year that I might try, but something tells me that I will end up also doing something brand new and duplicating my resources used. But it's fun. And I think that you never get too old to dress up. It's just sometimes it's not your thing, and I get that, but it is my thing, and I will be putting way too much time towards taking a few stupid photos that no one will even pay attention to on my Instagram. And I will be so happy that I did it. Finally, have a Gilmore Girls watch party evening. There's not really much else that needs to be said with that. I love Gilmore Girls. Who doesn't? It's fun. It's nostalgic. But I want to have like just a cozy night in. Maybe in true Rory and Lorelai fashion, order some Chinese food takeout, have some fall drinks, just have it on the background, make it into a fun girls' night. So that's what I'm very, 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 very looking forward to this time of the year, whenever I can still sit in the air conditioning, but hopefully the fall weather is just around the corner. That was it. That's all that I have on my list. I just think that I can't hammer home enough that the season is what you make it. Life is what you make it. We all know this. So if we sit by, you know, I'm so sorry. I'm so scattered right now. I said it a billion times. But if we just continue to sit around and hope that we have a good fall or a good Christmas or even just a good day, it's never going to be the case. You have to figure out what things are going to make you happy and figure out how to cope with things that will inevitably happen that don't make you happy, because that's just part of life. And understand that if you want to have a special experience or a special season, no one is going to make that possible if not you. So you have to take the time to seek out the fall specials, to seek out the fun experiences, to actually make plans with your friends or your children or your family, and make the season as special as you want it to be, because no one is going to make you have, you know, a spooktastic holiday season. You have to do it for yourself, unfortunately. But I'm right there with you. We're going to make it a great time. I was LOLing earlier because even looking at my Instagram, it's already like devoid of color because I'm in such a neutral season. I don't want to do anything except for obviously shades of brown. I have no color left in my soul. That's dramatic. I have no color left in my color palette for my wardrobe. But I'm just very excited for the changing of the seasons. It'll be very fun. I know this is a shorter episode, but it is kind of silly, so I don't have a lot else to say about it, but I'm just so thankful to have this platform to talk about silly things and to express myself. Next week, like I said, is going to be super fun. It'll be very informational for women especially, but I think that anyone can benefit from listening to it because there's such a severe gap in women's health education. So I will be posting, obviously, a lot about that one, but I really do encourage you to tune in, to send it to your friends, etc. So I hope everyone has a wonderful week. I hope that I see some of you at Pitbull. I hope I see some of you at the garage sale that I will be working because I'm a good daughter. I hope you guys treat yourself on Friday. I hope that you have minimal stress, all mountains, no valleys, and thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to see you very soon. Bye.